Hey guys! It's been a while since my last video. I wanted to go over today over Shungite, and it's not super exciting at first glance. It is black. Some of it has like a gray luster to it, like a silver sheen kind of. And the higher the carbon, the more of the sheen that you get. But it is actually so much more than meets the eye. This is one of those stones that we tend to kind of turn to a lot for a last minute protection, for cleansing areas. So I'm hoping that I don't get too sciencey with you guys, or at least if it's science, that you will understand it. So Shungite is essentially a Precambrian carbon deposit. The Precambrian, they're talking about like we're thinking primordial ooze, like the very beginnings of Earth, when it was just bacteria, the very first invertebrates that you can think of. That's what caused these deposits of carbon in specifically one area of Russia. This region is called Karelia, and this is very important to remember later on, in particular with its history. Now I'm going to fast forward to around 1708, 1709. Peter the Great is the Tsar in Russia, and he goes and visits with his troops to this region of Russia a little bit north of St. Petersburg called Karelia. While there, locals told him to go and bathe in these waters that were filtered with this rock called Shungite. Please don't ask me what it's called in Russian because I tried to look it up and it was not easy. But anyways, he goes and he bathes in this water and he loves it. He actually feels the effects of it, and he ends up becoming one of its biggest patrons. Like, he's so gung-ho about it. He uses it within the troops. He uses it within for medicinal purposes, so he filters their own water with this stuff, which leads to him winning wars. One of these wars is against the Swedish troops. He had all of his troops carry a piece of Shungite on them, but also the water that they used was filtered with Shungite. So they used this for medicinal purposes, for drinking water, and they think that this was actually one of the biggest things that helped him win against the Swedish forces. So he had such a good experience with it that fast forward to 1719, he opened up the first Russian medical spa in Karelia. So downside to this was that it was mostly only aristocrats that could go there, but I would suspect that that meant that it was super crowded because it's Russia and like literally everyone there is a prince, and it's a really bad aristocracy joke, sorry. Okay, so molecular level. This is the stuff that like I will lose my mind with because it is just so cool. Essentially what Shungite is mostly carbon. It has silicates in it, which is totally normal for a lot of rocks. But one of the things that it has that is found nowhere else on Earth, and naturally at least, is something called a fullerene, or a Buckminster fullerene. That is the big word that probably will scare everyone. But all it is just carbon in this little circular form with a hollow center. This is really cool. This is essentially what it has. Not all of it is like this, but it has a lot of it. This is a Buckminster fullerene. So where you see the black, this is carbon. These sticks between are just simply bonding sites between the carbon. And you can see in some areas you will see some pentanes, and then you will see a hexane. And then I put these little sticks out, and some of them, just to show you that all of these carbons have other bonding sites. So they have so many other areas where they could bond to stuff. Carbon in general tends to do this anyways. This is why we use carbon in filtration systems. Like if you have an aquarium, just look at your aquarium filtration system. It has carbon in it. This is what I think is just so exciting. Here's the physical and the science evidence behind why Shungite is so good at filtering water, just like how Peter the Great had it. So one of the very cool things about this formation is that, okay, so not all of Shungite is going to be fullerenes. However, fullerenes have a tendency to kind of stick to more fullerenes and to more carbon, and so that's why you get so many of them in one area, such as in Karelia. This filters water so well that I think it's St. Petersburg, the water company that provides water for St. Petersburg. They've been doing research a lot with scientists on how it performs filtration. There is a study from 2006 that showed antimicrobial properties, which was beyond cool. But you can ask me more about that later on. So for the metaphysical, this is the stone of choice for grounding, for protection. I use it as a last minute protection thing. If I know that I'm going to be around someone who's going to be a bit of an energy vampire, or they just are down and you don't want to absorb that. This is what you wear. This is also much more gentle than, say, like black tourmaline. Black tourmaline can tend to be very iron curtain about how it protects you, versus Shungite, which I think the reason why Shungite is the way that it is because it is filtering. It's trying to go through all of the cells, all of the molecules through your body, essentially, trying to cleanse anything that is not going to be worthy of you. So nothing negative, it's trying to get rid of that, and that's how it works. I think that's why it works the way it does. I'm not sure, I cannot find anywhere where it tells me, yes, you're right, Delia, but that's why I think it works the way that it works. So the Book of Stones talks about this stone as being the stone that you use to cleanse every cell and every molecule of your body to get it ready for light body activation, which kind of makes sense. It goes back to what I said. It's essentially, at the end of the day, it is like a carbon filter for your body, and that's just really cool to me. I usually use this as a last minute protection. I have a Shungite bracelet that I use if I know that I'm going to be around someone who is draining, or if I'm just dealing with psychic attacks, that's what I'll use. Or if I have to deal with something awful or scary or whatever, I usually have my Shungite wand and the bracelet, and I actually have Shungite pyramids around the house as well, just trying to cleanse anything that comes in so that it doesn't affect us as much. And it's also not as iron curtain as, say, black tourmaline, which is gonna stop a lot of things in its track. But Shungite is just very gentle in its cleansing and its protecting properties. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on Shungite. Let me know if you have any thoughts, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Have a good one.